What's shaking, everybody? Yellow. So, I just wanted to, as a follow-up to the beginner's tutorial that we just did, I kind of wanted to give people some tips and whatnot on maybe how to practice and how to, like, once you've mastered and gotten your beginner method down, some things maybe to look at and practice for the future. I've kind of figured out, like I've talked about, a way to kind of blend the beginners and advanced methods. And again, not so much so you'll build bad habits or something that you don't want to do, but that makes learning all of the information that the advanced method has to offer makes that sound attainable, because there's a lot of things to memorize if you want to get all of your PLLs, OLLs, F2L. I mean, even if you want to get into ZBLL, I mean, it can get overwhelming. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of this is how I practice. Like if I were to get up in the morning and want to practice that day, this is how I would do it. So essentially what I would do is I would start working on, of course, you would want to start working on F2L, which is your essentially how you can build pairs between an edge piece and a corner. So instead of inserting piece by piece one at a time, you can now start building like blocks of two. So you can build this edge piece and corner in one. Like as you can see, here's a pair, and that pair goes right down in that here. So instead of doing like we talked about the beginner method and inserting the corner and then inserting the edge piece in the next step, we would put these together as a pair. I mean, say they were separated like this. Say that you have his here and this one here. This is exactly what F2L is. So there's a sequence of moves that they'll teach you for each different scenario. So like when I have this in the corner, again, I could do one right EALG to put that in the bottom like we learned in the beginner method. But also, if you see the other piece of the pair is right here in the top, green and orange, green and orange. So if this was this case where it was here and the other piece was here, all you would do is literally just do the right EALG, because what happens is when you do the right EALG, it builds this pair in the back. You do your U move, that inserts it, and bring it down. But that's not the case I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when you have your edge piece on the left and your corner piece in the top right here. And so you see that's the case right there. Opposite colors on top. If they're the same color on top, you just want to try and pair those together by doing something like this, where they would just come together. But since they're not, and they're spread apart like this and they're opposite colors, this is just one F2L I'm going to teach you guys, and this is just an idea of where to kind of start. So like this case comes up a lot, and this is what I'm talking about blending the techniques. Is so it's not about not learning the advanced technique. It's about selectively picking the advanced either algorithms or F2L sets or whatever, strategically picking the ones that seem to pop up more, and start learning those ones first. So that way, the majority of your solves, you will know what to do once you learn those. There's going to be other anomaly pop-ups that come, cases that pop up that you don't know. That's going to be okay. Then you'll start researching and learning that one. But by figuring out that there's a few major cases as far as setting up pairs that are very obvious and are very prevalent and pop up a lot, learn those ones first. Like I said, this case right here, this is just one example of one F2L. So instead of just inserting this corner piece, what we're going to do is we're going to put these together and put them in one sequence of moves. So what you do is you start with a U prime. That puts your white piece in the back right here. You're going to do an R, U, R prime. So it's the first three moves of the right EALG, but just without the U prime at the end. And instead of U prime, you're just going to do a U. So it's going to actually be a counterclockwise U instead of a U prime. And now what that did is that actually set us up in the case I was just talking about, where now all you have to do is turn this layer over to make the pair. Now do your U move to line it back up and bring it in. And so again, what this would look like if, say, you were, trying to solve it. This is back at the case. We have the corner here, edge here. If you were trying to solve this again quickly, you would go. So it's, sorry, I even fumbled a little bit there. That's not a good example. But so it would go. You can see how quick that was, and now I have my pair in there. So yeah, that's like, again, just start learning simple things like one at a time. Also, like, here's something to point out. In the beginner's method, I showed you how if you turn the front layer over, do a righty alg, turn it back. If you have a dot, you will then get a hook. If you have a line and you do that, it'll set up the cross. If you have a hook, then you want to turn over the first 2 layers, do a righty alg, turn it back, and you have your cross. So what I started doing was, the first thing I learned was, I believe there's 8 OLLs, or orientation of the last layer, where you're getting your yellow on top, where when you have the cross already started. So essentially you can do that beginner move, get the cross set up, and then that means you only have to learn 8 OLLs or whatever at first, and they're all pretty similar and not too hard to learn. So that gives you something like, instead of learning 21, or how is it, I forget how many there are exactly, but instead of learning every single one, you can start with a small subset, like I said, that especially you're going to get a cross. If you do those beginner moves, you're going to get a cross on top. And so from there, now you can do advanced OLL, which is, so instead of orienting your corners first, like I talked about, then flipping them, and then doing now you can just go, and now you have a whole yellow side just like that, and that sets you up to start learning. And this is my next point, was going to be same thing with PLLs, or permutation of last layer. Once you have your yellow side complete, you're going to find that you're going to look at the cube, and over time, this is very overwhelming when you first start, but over time, you're going to start to see how the orientation of these pieces and colors. So this one is a great example. I just happened to get what's called a J-perm. So the J-perm you can see it has a two block here of one color, and then it has a 2 block here. So looking at it from the front, it looks like this, and then on the right side is this, and then on the back and the side, this left side, because the left side is completely solved. That's one clue. There's only so many algs that have a solved side on them. You're gonna have your J perm, your F perm. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that have like your U perm, but there's not a lot that are gonna have a solved side on it. So that's a very distinct and very good thing to note. So when you see a solved side, again, then because this is an algorithm or a PLL you will come up with more times than not, I would say. So this is one, make a list as you're solving, like as you get better, start making a list of, look it up online. Okay, I got this one, and kind of start keeping track of which ones you get, and the ones that you get a lot, maybe just learn those like 3 or 4 at first. And then, as you start learning, getting more cases and getting other PLLs more frequently, then you start learning those ones. But again, divide the work into manageable amounts of like learning. Again, if you try to learn all of PLL and all of OLL, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people can just do it, and more power to you if you can, awesome. But as far as beginners especially, I don't want you to get overwhelmed and get frustrated and not want to continue. So this was my little tip on just kind of how to get into the advanced techniques without really overwhelming yourself. And I'm going to do a full video where I'm going to show you about edge pairing and whatnot, making pairs and inserting them. And we're going to slowly, gradually work our way up to the advanced method. So I'm going to do some, tutorials along the way, kind of taking you step by step as we work up to that place. So this is just an introduction. I wanted to let you guys know there are some things you can do to start practicing and start getting better, but I'll get more in depth on that in the next video. So if there's anything you guys want to know, leave it in the comments. I'd love to answer some questions, but if not, I'll address everything that I just talked about in our next video. You guys have a great day, and peace.